So in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up an animation controller. So we have our dragon here, and I'm going to delete these things so that we can start from scratch. So the first thing you need to do, I can't remove it. So the first thing you need to do is select your avatar or your character, whatever you want to do. For example, I could just select this one. This one already has an animator, but I can remove it. So you just hit add component, and then you type in Animator. Okay, so you just add the animator, just like that. So that's what we have set up here on this dragon. And then we need to select the original model where it gets imported. And the way that you find that is you need to look at the mesh, which is usually has like a skinned mesh renderer on it. And you can click on here where it says mesh. It'll take you here, and you can see in the folder that this is where it was imported to. See, here's our mesh. So if we click on the root of this, this is our prefab for the mountain dragon. So here you can see the rig, it says legacy, and the animations here shows all of the animations that it's going to import. But what we want to do, since we want to set it up with an animator, which is a mechanism controller, we want to change this to generic. Now, if I were doing the ghoul or the goblin or the ogre, I would do humanoid because Unity has a really good import system for humanoids. But we're going to do generic because this is a dragon and he's got 4 feet, not 2. The avatar definition, this one we're going to create from the model. You'll see I have multiple dragons here. Each one of these has other animations on it. And if we want to use those animations, they're going to need an avatar too, but we don't want to generate an avatar every time. So on those ones, we're going to use the avatar from this one and apply it to those ones. And the way we do that is once we have the rig, you want to select the root node where the movement takes place. Sometimes you have to fiddle with this. Sometimes it's just, the base here, and you'll see that this all follows the same pattern as over here. But I know that the pelvis is where the animations start for this one. So I'm just going to select the pelvis as the root node and hit apply. And it'll think about it. Okay, and then if we open this again, here's all of our animations, and then here's our mountain dragon avatar. Now if we select these ones that also need avatars, you can see I already set them up earlier. It's generic rig still, but instead of creating from a model, we copy it from the other avatar. So then we can just drag this into this spot, hit apply, and it'll think about it, and now it's using the avatar from this one. The avatar is kind of like just the bone system. It's telling it how to use the bones inside the model. This is a mesh which sticks to the bones. These are all of the bones that kind of push the animation. And if you wanted to see how that kind of looks, we can go add tab, animation, and if I were to select an animation, for example, I'll show that to you in a minute. Next we need a controller. So to make a controller, you would just go to wherever you want to save the controller. For me, I keep them in resources so that they can be loaded dynamically. Animations, and you see I already have a motion controller, but you would just right click and then you would hit create animator controller. There's also an Animator override controller, which I use often, and I'll show you how to use that as well. So we create the Animator controller. This is the basic default controller, and that's what this is here. Now, I use one animator for all of these. Most people don't. They would make a different animator for bipeds for different things, but the way I have it set up is just easier for me. So I created one single state. I'm going to delete it so I can show you how I did it. We're going to create a state for idle. Create state empty. Okay, we name it idle, and then we can go here to the motions. We can click here, and we can see it'll usually default to look for things in the scene. We want to click on assets. We can go 4-leg idle. I just happen to know that that's what it's called. Now here it'll show you where it came from, so we can make sure that we're getting the right one, because there's like I know that I have one that's like on the bear and things like that. I don't have the bear in this one, but so we're gonna just do your layout will be different, obviously, but just find your idle animation or your run animation, whatever you want to do to test it. So now it's using that. So if we were to play right now, this would not play, and the reason for that is that we have to transition from any state, which is the start state of the animator. Each of these layers has different states, and I'll go over that later in another tutorial, trying to keep this under 10 minutes. So all we have to do is we right click, we hit make transition, we click on our idle, and now you can see, that they're connected. Now if we click on that transition by just clicking on the arrow, you'll see that it's transitioning from idle to idle, then back up to idle. If we were to do something like from idle to run, which we'll do in another tutorial, it would show something slightly different. It would show idle and then run, and then this is the area where it overlaps. So we could also use conditions, so we could say that we only want it to play the idle animation if we are grounded. So right now that's all we needed to do. So now what we need to do is click on our character that we want to put the animation controller on, and you'll see this says none, so we want to move this up here, and then if this hadn't put it in there automatically, we could just click on the model that we imported, click on the avatar, we just go up here and we would just drag the avatar in there, and then if we press play, you can see our dragon is nicely standing there, idling. He's moving because he has a rigid body on him, which I could remove, but it's not important. The important thing is that he's playing the animation. And that's it. That's how you initially set up a Mechanim animator. Next tutorials, I'm going to show you how to do blend trees and going from different states and using parameters and such. So that's how you do the initial setup.